All right, welcome back, everyone. So I will be streaming for approximately an hour today. It is 4:35, quarter to six. I'm gonna log off. The goal is obviously to sketch this portion of the page. Last time I did the sketch over here. It's going to be this time an exterior, some kind of a Victorian medieval architecture. And I got a nice little Bible verse up here, and maybe, just maybe, I will share a biblical message at the end of this stream. It really depends if anybody stops by and sticks to the end. And if not, I'm really just going to take this video, make a short out of it with a biblical message, and then post it. Other than that, I'm gonna try a different style, which is going to be I'll listen to my own music. I'm not gonna stream any music. I'm not sure when I add music if it bothers people watching it. So basically, put on your own music. You're just gonna hear me, sketching and talking to you. That's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and have some fun sketching today. And as always, since especially today, starting today, I'm going to have biblical messages posted. You are welcome to talk to me about the Bible, Jesus, eternity, life, death. I would love to get into these subjects while I try to keep up with my chicken scratches. Okay, well, that's it. I'm going to start in just a moment. I'll just go ahead and put my music on. Sorry, I'm gonna go ahead and check to make sure you guys can't hear the music I'm listening to, because if that happens, I'm gonna get a copyright strike from YouTube, and I really don't want that. Just gonna check that live video quickly to make sure it didn't leak through. Hey, how's it going? I was thinking, I'm like, that. Don't I know somebody by the name of Jean? Yeah, how you been? You're from East Canada, right? That kid in high school. Forgive me if I got it wrong. Pretty good. I'm trying to keep up with streaming once a week. I'm tempted to not do it because I'm pretty busy. Oh yeah, what's it like? Oh, the camera's no good. Not always, but I'm starting to use more reference because I've noticed I'm drawing a lot of the same things over and over. Now, the thing is with reference, I'll have reference in front of me, but I'll make sure I am using that reference to create, not copy one to one, because there's no point of that. So I'm definitely, I looked up reference for the period I want to draw, but I'm also redesigning it so that it's my own creation with my own storytelling. Which is why I'm struggling to make sense out of things. What does it take to draw from Edge? Lots of real life reference. The more you draw from real life, the more you're gonna build a visual library. So, for example, I did this one, and then now I'm doing this one. Then after, I could put these two away, and because I have years of experience of doing this back and forth, I can go ahead and create variations of this now in my head. Same with this one, just simply from my head, because I used reference but also created at the same time. So you're exercising two things. One, your visual library goes up, and two, your creative muscles are being exercised when you are actually creating at the same time. I'm not a believer in sit there and just copy. It's not going to do much for you. How was school? Yeah, mixing both. A lot of times I draw with no reference, but when I do, I still create on top of what I'm looking at. That's exactly how they would do it when they're building concepts for movies and games. They're looking at real world reference, but they're creating from it. Do you know? Do you know what you're planning to do when you graduate? You're not afraid of what's happening with AI? How a lot of those jobs are getting bombarded with AI taking over? I'm assuming you're good at programming. Also, you believe there's still going to be a market for web designers compared to like what I'm saying is I'm sure web developers will still be needed, but the question is to what extent? Like how many of them are actually needed now that a lot of things can be done through AI? Well, no, it's not just web designers. I'm just bringing that up because that's the field you're going into. I personally would be afraid to go into something like that because one, it's very outsourceable, and two, AI can do a great deal nowadays. Yes, absolutely. It would change overnight. I would no longer have to go to my construction laboring job. I could. I probably won't even go and become an electrician if I had that much money, because I would just be like, hey, I can actually launch my artistic career. That's probably what I would be doing. Uh, well, Army, the downside of that is if you ever start a family one day, it's going to be difficult to see your family because you're always called to be on base or be out doing a tour in some country. So if you're not planning to have a family, then it doesn't matter all that much. But if you change your mind, it's going to affect your career big time. I would recommend trades. Which I'm slowly working towards right now. I want to go and become an electrician. Because it's stable, it pays well, and it's something AI cannot touch, and it's something that outsourcing, well, it's never going to happen. You're never going to go and outsource to India, or that some guy trades. Plumbing, electricians, HVAC, tin bangers, basically the people that build and maintained our society. I don't think you're dumb. It takes actually 5 years, but the way it works is you're paid. Well, where I'm from, probably actually, well, you're in Canada, so it's the same thing. When you become an apprentice, I would advise it first of all through the union. Non-union, I don't trust that. So the way it works is you contact your local unions, depending on what you want to go into. Let's pretend you're going to go become an electrician, and you find a company that's unionized through your local union. And if they decide to give you a chance, it's called sponsorship. They sponsor you. You go to school for 2 months of the year, and you work 10 months, and you repeat that 4 years in a row. And the 5th year, you go write your exam. Now you're paid the entire time. You're paid through employment insurance to go to school. And when you're on the job, they pay you as you're learning. And every year, your wages go up. So basically, you're never going to go into debt like you would if you went to college or university studying a field. And at the same time, you're learning and getting paid. And you don't have to worry about AI. You don't have to worry about outsourcing. You don't have to worry about how, for instance, Canada is full of pretty much a loophole of immigrants from India taking over jobs. That's something everybody knows. Now, they're not coming into the trades because it takes a lot of work and it takes a long time to earn your way up. So it's barrier to entry is very hard, which makes it more of a job security. And because the amount of people are retiring compared to the amount of people going in, it makes it a lot more secure for the people going in and having a full long career. So let me put it this way. I love to draw. I think I'm okay at it. I would love to continue doing this and be able to paint and focus and actually have the time to do it. But that's not going to happen if I can't pay my bills. And I don't want to just pay my bills simply because of some normal job. Like, for instance, I have a pretty good job. I'm in the construction world, our company focuses on demolition. So we basically demolish and break things. Now, what I'm saying is, yes, I make pretty good money, but I don't want to do that for the next 30 years of my life. It's hard, it's dangerous, it's rough, it's stressful. So that's why I always, like, my best advice for me and for anyone else who just, is not sure of what to do with their life is, I would say, go into a trade. Go be a plumber, go be an electrician, go into HVAC. Why? Because you're not going to kill yourself working. You're going to make good money. You don't have to work long hours. And it gives you the time, the money, and the energy to do what you really love to do. For me, it's drawing and preaching the gospel. So if I want to afford to do these things, I have to have a job that gives me the income to do these things, and I'll be sane when I go home. Like, there's nothing, I hate that feeling is when you have to go to work and you're stressing about it, like, oh, I have to go to work, I have to do this job, I'm dreading it so badly. I never want that experience. I don't want that anymore. I want to be able to go to a job that I'm proud of, which is why I'm working towards becoming an electrician. But anyway, that's just my advice for you. And you don't have to leave where you're living. You don't have to leave home. You don't have to leave your friends, family, when you're in the trades. If you want to work in the oil fields, you have to leave your family. If you want to go into mining, you have to leave your family. If you want to go in the army, you have to leave your family. If you want to be a software engineer, well, good luck, because outsourcing and AI are going to be your competitors. And web design, I don't know, man. That's something that would have been great 20 years ago. Now, not as much, because when you think about it, WordPress has made things so easy for the world. And now you have companies like Shopify. Everything's click and drag. You have AI technology everywhere. You have a whole bunch of smart Indians who are willing to work for much cheaper wages through outsourcing. So you're competing against a lot of things if you want to be a successful web designer. Not that it's not possible. I just personally don't think it's worth the effort. That's it. You're like, oh, okay, thanks, guidance counselor, for lecturing me. I just tuned in to see you sketch a bit. Yeah, I did mention that, but that's why I like the trades. Indians are not going to be able to pollute the trades. They're only looking for quick things. How can I quickly get in something, make the money, regardless of how good or bad I do, and just bounce? You can't do that in the trades because the barrier to entry is extremely high. But once you get in and you have secured an apprentice, and you actually do your part, which is show up, do your job, pay attention, take notes, go do the schooling, well, then you're golden. You're golden as far as stability goes, security. How long has it been? Almost an hour. Yeah, I mean, That's not a bad idea, but like I said, they're gonna own you if you do that. All of your identification will be cut in pieces. You're going to be the property of the military at that point. If that doesn't bother you, then sure, go for it. But if you want your freedom, you want to be able to go to work and come home and do what you want, well, then the army is not for you. Stones, pathway, maybe adding a horse here with a carriage, but where? Oh, this is gonna get messy. Maybe, where should I put it? Where should I put it? You know what? Give me a sec. So how do I draw? If I want to draw a scene with a character in it in an office or something like that, well, my advice is first try to see the image in your head, which is not easy. Okay, it's really not easy, but try to visualize it in your head before you draw. You don't have to have every detail down, but just a rough idea at least. That I find personally, if I can see it in my head, I could put it down. I could put it down like that. That's just how it works. Next thing is, because it's an environment, I try to start placing, where the horizon line would be. What kind of perspective am I gonna draw? Okay, you know what? No, I'm just making it too complicated for you. Just in an office, well, maybe start with the character. I have trouble explaining it because the way I draw and think is different than how I guess most people would just do it. I don't know. I mean, you just mentioned office. Well, I'm thinking, well, maybe there's a desk. There's a desk here. Something like that. And maybe the chair is back here. I guess treat it like you're carving it. I'm gonna start with some point here. And maybe the character is sitting here doing some kind of paperwork, office things. That's a massive desk. Guess that's the ground. Maybe that's a carpet. draw some lines to show the plane where it's grounded. The other leg. And maybe you have to go through several sketches before your idea starts to make sense. His legs here. Maybe he's got some globe things sitting on his desk. Stacks of books. I don't know, maybe because I love the medieval period. I love everything that okay, well, medieval all the way to Victorian, I find they put so much love and effort into everything they did. Now everything around us in the world feels like boxes, ugly boxes in space, ugly cookie cutter homes. Everything old just looks so much better, so good, because it was done with intention, with love, with patience. Now it's all about save money, deliver garbage. Some candles, stack of paperwork, carpet here. You see what I'm doing? I'm literally carving from here outwards. Sometimes that works too. You probably draw a lot of reference from that. Yeah, that's something that I enjoy drawing, and yeah, that makes sense. Okay, it's an office. Okay, maybe let's see, maybe a giant library behind him. Whoops. Something like that. Another thing is, don't worry about your lines being nice. The idea is far more important than structure. Some curtains back here. Cool windows. I don't know, perhaps just years of training. That's a huge compliment that you said my lines are nice. I'm not left-handed. I actually, I'm trained right-handed artist. I just switched to left. So to say that my left-hand lines are nice is a huge compliment, and I thank you for that. That's pretty cool. It's a struggle with perspective. Should I draw from life? Well, okay, so I've been to school before for drawing, and I had a career as an artist. So I didn't just learn how to draw out of thin air. It's been drilled in me. So I've gotten through a lot of perspective training and classes. So my advice to you is get some good perspective books. So you start becoming conscious of how perspective works. Practice from those books, and then draw from real life, so you can your brain can start creating connections between what you're taught and how the real world works. So you're not just drawing and hoping that things just work out. Do you understand what I'm saying? Maybe we'll turn these into giant bookshelves. You see how the office is starting to come to life? Yeah, well, in this instance, I thought about the desk and the character because that's what I was able to visualize. And then I started thinking about, do you carry a sketchbook? I used to. I don't anymore. Let me explain why. It's because when I work, so Monday to Thursday, I work at, the Parliament, the Canadian Parliament. Well, that's where my construction company has stationed us. And when I leave the house, and by the time yeah, exactly. It's like carving. So I started from here because that's what I was able to control in my mind. And then I started carving the outer environment based on the inner environment. So this became my reference point to start expanding out. I don't always do this, but this is one method that I use. So anyway, I work Monday to Thursday, 10 hours each, but from the time that I leave the house until I come home, it's almost 13 hours I'm out of the house. So there's no point of carrying a sketchbook with me because I just don't have that time. And weekends I'm so busy with studying, errands, and so on and so forth, Bible studies, shopping, chores, you name it, all needs to be done. But I do leave my sketchbook at work. And I have time at work to sketch. And that's what I do. I listen to some music and I sketch at work. But once I switch, and eventually, of course, God willing, I go and become an electrician and I have normal hours Monday to Friday, I would go back to carrying a sketchbook because I'll have more time outside to go and sketch. So I guess to answer your question, yes, I would advise you. I would recommend it. I would highly recommend carrying a sketchbook. But books here. Let's see. What do I? Everything really. Whatever I feel like sketching in the moment. Lots of characters, environments, with zero reference because I'm just in an isolated location. And my time is limited, so I just put on some creative music that makes me feel creative, and I just started sketching like this. I'll bring that sketchbook home sometime and show everything I've done so far. So yeah, so you'll see what I've done at work. Maybe another desk here. Yeah, maybe I'll finish the sketch too, actually, since I started, and it doesn't look that bad. Even when I flip it upside down, it kind of reads, and if it reads upside down, it means it's gonna do quite well right side up. And also I gotta finish this one, but I have exceeded my time, and I have to get going. Should I try to reproduce drawings of other stuff? Absolutely. That's something. When I have more time, I actually want to go back to doing that. So I have artists that I look up to as well. The only problem is I can't do it on live streams because I can get pinched for it. It's copyright infringement. But I highly recommend that for you, for me, for anyone. You have to start copying the people that you look up to. So because that's how Michelangelo became Michelangelo. That's how Leonardo da Vinci became da Vinci. They didn't just draw out of thin air. They were actually looking at other artists that they admired, and they were spending a great deal of time copying with intention. And I say copying with intention, meaning they weren't just looking at the drawing and copying. They were actually using measuring methods, checking the plumb line, calculating, for example, okay, if I'm going to draw that environment, well, how high is this compared to down here? Well, that's like 1.5 times more than what's up here. And if I go this way, how many times does it go this way? What's the perspective line? How does it converge? So it was intentional copying. It wasn't just copying, because when you do it intentionally, you're actually drawing from a 3-dimensional point of view, and you're creating you're building your visual library properly. You're seeing the world in a 3-dimensional way, instead of just copying like you would sit at some art class at high school when the teacher that doesn't know anything about drawing tells you, okay, here's a whole bunch of fruits and random objects, just draw it. You're not gonna learn much from that. And the only time I would say just draw is if you're in real life, when you're looking at real buildings and real people and you don't really have time to measure. That's the only time I would say, yeah, just sketch as is. But intentional sketching and copying is highly recommended because you start picking up on their style, the way they put their pencil down, the way they shade, the way they create. Basically, it starts to influence your own work, and over time you get sick and tired of copying them, and you start having the craving to create. And when you start creating, you will notice their influence is now part of your workflow naturally. And that's how you start creating your own style. You take a little bit of everybody's work that you appreciate, and you mimic them until you're tired of doing that, and then you go and start creating your own stuff. So yeah, I would highly recommend that. Even that's something I've been craving, but my only dilemma is if I go do some copy sketches, then I'm gonna disappear for a while because I cannot stream. And if I can't stream, well, yeah, you're internalizing it. It's just like anything else. So if you want to be a plumber, for example, well, then you need to work with a master plumber that's going to show you the ropes of how things work, the tools you need, how water flows, how you control pressure, how you connect pipes together. You need a master, and you need to be their apprentice. Well, that's exactly how artists were trained. Well, the master, which would share his sketches and secrets, and the apprentice for a long time would just absorb, copy, and replicate over and over and over, until they understood what the master understood, and eventually they became a master, and then they went off doing their thing, because everybody is unique, so you naturally would have your own style over time. So if somebody claims they're not influenced by anybody and this is purely their style, it's a little hard to believe that they're not lying at that point. So yeah, that's pretty much it, Joe. I think, like I said, I think I'll finish this cute little sketch that I started for you on the next stream, and I definitely want to finish this one. Maybe like some horse and carriage. You know what? I should make a note of that here. Horse plus carriage down here, something like that. And yeah, I'll do this one and that one. Yeah, I think that's gonna be pretty cool next weekend. All right, man. It's good to talking to you. Thanks for stopping by. Take care of yourself until then. We'll talk more. Have a good day, and God bless you. Bye.